This is an emergency broadcast on all YouTube bulletin stations. There is currently a massive emergency. Please panic and run around like your knickers are on fire. Remember to stay tuned to the Gooner channel for further updates. There is currently an emergency. Arsenal have yet to sign any significant players. All the players you want are as yet unsigned. Please behave like children. This is an emergency, Further broadcasts will be available on the Gooner channel.
So the news, finally a signing, and Arsenal fans who've been losing their minds over the fact that we're not doing business. We've had to watch Liverpool bring in Florian Wirtz, Kerkez. We've seen them Frimpong. Cherky's gone to Man City. Players are going everywhere. Chelsea have signed strikers. Arsenal fans have been increasingly worried that despite all the speculation linking us with Gyökeres and Šeško, that we might not get either. And every day seems to bring us closer to a meltdown. But today, you would think there was some positivity because we have, it seems, according to David Ornstein, we can celebrate the first real signing. The first signing is likely to come in, hold a shirt up. We all know that Kepa Arrizabalaga seems to have been signed and Martin Zubimendi has been done bar the holding up the shirt. And that's quite important. It's quite an important part of the closure of a transfer window. But Christian Nørgaard, and there's more emergency meetings. So given that there's an emergency meeting almost every night, you do wonder if these meetings are having any effect. I consider this to be a really good signing, and I want to tell you why. And it, of course, has to do with the fact that Christian Nørgaard is hardly the sensational forward that we were all kind of counting on. We all know we need in this transfer window. Everybody knows we need a striker. Everybody knows we need cover on the left wing, ideally cover on the left and right wing. But despite all of the fact that these are the marquee signings that we're still hoping will come in, you do also need to strengthen the squad. And with Jorginho going to Flamengo, with Thomas Partey, it seems not being able to agree a contract. He is holding out for more money than Arsenal want to pay him. Then we do need to get a replacement. So it really depends how you look at it. Christian Nørgaard is therefore either a replacement for Jorginho or for Thomas Partey. Now, if he's a replacement for Jorginho, that takes me back to the launching of this channel because this, the first video I did was to talk about how pleased I was that we were signing Jorginho from Chelsea. And of course, it was in a January transfer window where we had hoped to sign Mudryk and we were hoping we would get Moses Caicedo. And we ended up with Trossard and Jorginho. And I guess you could look at that and say, yeah, not landmark. Moses Caicedo might still be a bigger name, a bigger profile, and would have probably made people happier. But I'm going to put a pin in Moses Caicedo because Sam Greenwood, who's a regular on the channel, made a really good observation earlier, which I've done a bit of investigating in. But essentially, if Thomas Partey is going to go, and don't get me wrong, at the start of the season, I was all for letting him go, selling him, trying to get some money for him. He had a really good season. He was one of our best players, with the exception of the time he spent at right back, which frankly was a disaster and should never have happened. And his leaving at least means we won't see him at right back anymore. But he had a good season. Out of nowhere, he had a fully fit season. It's very reminiscent of Xhaka's last season with us, isn't it? You suddenly saw him bombing forward, getting goals. Thomas Partey did get some goals. He just played really well. He was very dependable, and he did manage to get through the season unscathed without any serious injuries. He was one of the only players who did, it feels like. And he had a really good season. So it kind of feels like people have turned from wanting to see him go and being kind of done with him to thinking, oh, we can't do without him. But if you were looking to replace Thomas Partey and you just looked at the numbers and statistics, then let's have a look at this together, because these are the numbers and statistics of Thomas Partey compared to Christian Nørgaard. Nørgaard? I'm sure someone out there will tell me I'm saying that wrong as well. Thomas Partey is a year older at 32. Christian Nørgaard is 31. They're both 1.85 m, so big old units. Price value, market value on SofaScore, I don't know. You can't really hold anything to it. But we are apparently signing Nørgaard for £9 million, which is worth remembering. Obviously, captain of Brentford. Last season, he played 83 minutes per game, a total of 2,829 minutes, just slightly ahead of Thomas Partey, even though Thomas Partey played one game more. Partey with 4 goals, Nørgaard with 5, Nørgaard with a higher expected goals. I know how much you love XG, guys, but come on, it's a stat like any other. What we're doing here is we're just analysing stats. When you look through it, you just notice how similar they are, right? You notice how assists, Nørgaard is ahead. Accuracy of long balls, Nørgaard is ahead. Interceptions, he's ahead. Tackles, Thomas Partey is ahead. These two players could not be more similar. There is one area, of course, where they are not at all similar, and that is that Thomas Partey wants £200,000 a week at the age of 32. And I don't know how much Nørgaard is going to get when he signs for Arsenal, but he's currently, as captain of Brentford, on £40,000 a week. So it's fair, I think, to assume it's going to be at least half of what Thomas Partey wants. And when you see just how similar they are across every conceivable metric, you do wonder how it can be that so many people are upset about this. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely understand that it's probably not the key signing that you wanted to see from Arsenal. But I don't think that we have to start feeling like this is the only signing that's going to come in. And don't get me wrong. If by the end of this transfer window, the only deals we've done have been Kepa, Zubimendi and Christian Nørgaard, I think we're screwed. And I don't care how good Kai Havertz is up front. We need someone else. We all do. We all know that. So, but this is I think this is opportunistic. I think with Thomas Frank going to Tottenham already have enough defensive midfielders. Christian Nørgaard's decided this is a good time to leave. He's been at Brentford for nearly 6 years. And fair play to him. This is a big move for him. He is definitely a good squad player. If Zubimendi, Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard are our 3, if we end up playing a 4-3-3, then we're talking about second place. We're talking about, a backup. We're talking about a player that can come in and be backup. We've got Marino's backup and Nwaneri is backup and now Nørgaard. I think it's a great signing. I think for the money that we're paying for him, it doesn't get in the way of us doing any other deals. And I really like him. Look, I didn't watch a lot of Brentford last season, but and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Christian Nørgaard's a player that I've always wanted us to sign. But he's got at the start of the transfer window and towards the end of the season, I remember having lots of conversations on the Adams Arms and on this channel about the fact that our players might just be a little bit too nice. I don't think you said about Christian Nørgaard. He's got a little bit of the Martin Keown's about him in the best possible way. He's strong. His range of passing isn't outstanding, but he's tidy. And I think he fits into games where we have possession well. He's fast, he's rapid, he's strong, and he progresses the ball really well. Not quite maybe as laterally and back and defensively as Thomas Partey. So I think it's a really good signing. I don't expect him to play the same number of minutes he did last season, but we have signed Zubimendi. So you would expect that to be a position that we're not really... He's not a first choice player. £9 million. Come on. At this point, people got really upset we signed Kepa Arrizabalaga because he's ex-Chelsea for £5 million. Now we're signing Christian Nørgaard for £9 million. That's pretty good going. Defensive midfield is a position that clubs like Man City spend hundreds of millions trying to find people. Calvin Phillips. There are any number of reasons why you can be absolutely frustrated that this isn't the landmark signing that's going to make other fans jealous. But this isn't about winning a pissing contest. This is about winning the Premier League. And I think a player to come in, Premier League proven, strong, physical, good history of injuries, and understands the culture and can slot right in. I think this is a great signing. So that's my view on that. I'm delighted that we are out there doing business like this. But obviously, I'm still expecting a striker to come in, and we still have no idea who it is. Touching on other transfer news, Benjamin Šeško has kept himself top of everybody's deal sheet because he apparently recently, although I can't confirm it, started following Arsenal on Instagram. Now he follows other teams as well, Real Madrid and Man City, but having followed Arsenal at a point where he's so often connected with us, is there something in that? Or is Gyökeres still having told other teams that he will only sign for Arsenal? Is he coming to? Is it both? I don't know. But certainly one of those two seems like the strongest favourite. Victor Osimhen is a player that's sort of being talked about a little bit more because we seem to now know that he is asking for 250,000 flat weekly after tax, which makes it really quite expensive, but probably not outside of what we could do. If you really are looking for an elite striker, it seems like Victor Osimhen, until he actually chooses a club, and it's going to be hard for any club to match that kind of salary expectation, but until he actually chooses one, he is going to be talked about. But the real point of interest is Rodrigo and Eduardo Camavinga, who, according to Fichajes, which is a publication, look, I'm not really sure. I think there's a lot of these publications around the world. Mercato, Fichajes, Calcio Mercato, Fichajes are publications that specialize in nothing but transfer news. And if we're all honest with each other, until a player's holding up a shirt, there is no news. You need it from a trusted source. You need an Ornstein, who obviously was the guy that dropped the bombshell news that Christian Nørgaard is almost done for Arsenal. Until it's a Fabrizio Romano, Here we go, or a David Ornstein, you never really trust these. And when it comes to Fichajes, they're quite low down my ranking of sources to trust because they have to publish something every single day. But they have reported that both Rodrigo and Eduardo Camavinga have asked for a move this summer from Real Madrid, realizing that they're down the pecking order. Now, in the case of Rodrigo, Fabrizio Romano has been saying and even recently, that the only way that Rodrigo would make it to Arsenal is if he requests a transfer. We know that he was waiting to talk to Xabi Alonso. Obviously, they're in America for the World Club Cup. He didn't get on at all in the second game. He did play in the first and even got an assist. But it's looking increasingly likely that, and certainly Rodrigo's hopes to play on the left wing are really unrealistic if you have a player of the stature of Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. That's a pecking order that you have to almost be happy to be behind those two. But Rodrigo does ask for transfer. Arsenal surely are the natural place for him to come. It solves so many problems for us. He is outstanding in terms of experience, possession football. He has an eye for goal. He's got everything we're looking for and can cover on the right as well as play on the left. And he obviously prefers to play on the left. So could we even be in for Camavinga as well? He's been linked with us. I don't know. But as it stands, according to Fichajes, Rodrigo and Camavinga have asked for transfer. And that, I think, puts us in the box seat. So as we go into July, remember, it's not the 1st of July yet, so you don't have to panic too much. But as we go into the 1st of July, it looks like we've done the deals for Zubimendi, Kepa Arrizabalaga, and now Christian Nørgaard, Brentford captain. I really like it. I'm really happy about it. And as I said, I've put a little pin in the Moses Caicedo question because let's be clear. If Arsenal had gone out and signed Moses Caicedo, I think everyone would be pretty happy about it. Let me know in the comments if I'm talking out of my hat here. But if we'd signed Moses Caicedo, there wouldn't have been emergency meetings on various channels. You know who you are. You love an emergency meeting. But when you compare stats between Moses Caicedo last season in the Premier League and Christian Nørgaard, and this was brought to my attention by Sam Greenwood, so big up your bad self. But goals, Caicedo 1, Nørgaard 5. Expected goals, Caicedo under 1, 4.36. Assists, Caicedo with 2, Nørgaard with 4. Expected assists, like on every metric here. Accuracy, tackles are really close. Interceptions, Nørgaard's ahead. if we'd signed Moses Caicedo, everyone would be absolutely chuffed. Now, I know Moses Caicedo is almost a decade younger. He's 8 years younger. And he still has a higher ceiling. And he, on his day, is an exceptionally good player. But we are getting a player for 9 million. And Moses Caicedo would be 80 to 100 and whatever million if Chelsea were prepared to sell him. And even if they sold him for the 80, 90 million mark that we might have to pay for someone like Rodrigo and can still afford to do because we're not splashing a load of cash on replacing Thomas Partey. But that being the case, that would still represent a loss to Chelsea. So I think this is great business. Nørgaard comes in, he arguably better than Moses Caicedo. One of captain of Brentford, been in the Premier League for years, proven. And I, for one, welcome you to Arsenal. Salute. And we'll be doing, we'll cover every breaking story as it comes in. And of course, the moment a player is holding a shirt, I shall be beaming live and direct. Until then, please do get in touch, have a comment. Listen, also, I never do this, but we've been doing really well lately. Lots more people have been turning up to the Adams Arms on a Tuesday and Thursday. And lots of you are new and have subscribed. And I thank you so much for that. Really helps the channel out. I'm asking you to hit the like if you've got this far and you like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, do. The reason I'm asking is whenever I do ask, which is rare, the number of people who subscribe and like goes massively up. So perhaps you just needed a reminder to do that. I'll wait while you do it. Until I see you again. Be lucky. Lots of love. This is the